What's on? We are back. It is Woklz and Forder, or Forder and Woklz, whichever way you prefer it. I can't say the name of the pod anymore. I've been put off now. Let everyone read it for themselves. How are you, mate? All good?
I'm good. How are you?
Mate, I am buzzing. This is the first time I've been on since the Madrid match. And it's still in such a good mood. It's Thursday. And it just such a good game. Genuinely, I got in so much trouble as well because my other half was upstairs with our youngest son, and the first rice goal went in, and obviously I hit the roof like I was loving life. The second one went in, and I was like, I don't know, like sometimes you react in a way that you don't kind of expect. So like usually I'm like a yes, come on. But that was just like pure elation and giggling. Like I was just laughing like a little schoolgirl. Just found it hilarious that he's done it again, and better. So I was in big trouble by the end of that game. But nonetheless, still in a good mood, mate. Come on, how are you feeling about it all? Is it what you imagined? Is it as good as you imagined?
I mean, I do think it's like probably one of personally for me, it's probably one of the best days I've seen Arsenal play and the match I've seen. I remember the Barcelona win when we won 2-1, but I must have been like 11 or 12. I was in school and I just remember like going into school the next day and being so happy. Then everyone was like, you're just going to lose the next game. You're going to lose in the second leg. And we did, but we got kind of scammed out of that one.
Yeah.
But like this is just like that elevation of the fact. It's not even just the result and the performance and everything. It's kind of that moment I think that we needed to kind of understand where this team is at and they can compete at this level. And it's that sort of realization. I genuinely think it's given us like not even the fans, but I think it's kind of that second win with the project. I think everyone was kind of a bit down on the project, but I think now with this result, everyone can kind of see the positives a lot more than the negatives. And I think that it's just I'm on such a high still, and it happened 2 days ago. And I don't think I won't be on a high until the game next week. I just think I don't even care about Brentford as much.
Yeah. I'm with you on that, mate.
Like it's just what it is.
It's so funny because I've done slides for this, and I finished up and I went, oh, you know what? I'm going to have to put Brentford one in, but it seems like so almost pointless. It's awful, isn't it? I wonder how many people will put their tickets up for sale for Brentford as well. I bet they'll be on the exchange there somewhere. But should we let's just get into it. Come on, let's go, because this was, like you say, one of the best games in recent memory. So champions dethroned. That's what I've put. 3-0. I mean, look at those stats. It's lovely, isn't it? I mean, just the shots on target and the shots. I don't remember the last time we were so, what's the word, ruthless or accurate in general. Like there's so many times that I look and I think, oh really? Like, can we just get a shot on target? Can we? But it was constant, absolutely constant. 54% possession to 46, which is kind of like, ironically, we talked about it last week. It's what we expected. We said Real Madrid would concede some possession. They wouldn't sit in a low block or anything like that. But I think, in all honesty, it doesn't really tell the true story, because it was, for me, it was domination. It was pure and utter demolition of Real Madrid. Yeah. Do the stats kind of look right to you, or is there anything that kind of jumps out and you think, oh, really?
No, I think it makes sense. I still think the first half, in a lot of senses, was probably a bit more even. I think Real Madrid actually would probably be happy with their first half. I think they actually kind of stopped us a lot of the time and doing what we wanted to. But the second half, we just blew them away. And I mean, having 11 shots on target from 12 shots is literally the most like unlike Arsenal thing, especially in a big game. We usually have like 30 shots and have like 2 on target. So to be that like good. I mean, a lot of the shots as well were within the box, close ranges. I mean, we created some great chances, and I think it's about being brave. I just think we were incredibly brave, and that's exactly how we should play the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, 92% shot accuracy it works out as, which is just insane, isn't it? And like you said, like I looked at the shot map. You look at Real Madrid's. Real Madrid's aren't kind of even situationed the same kind of positionally as us. It's that really tells a true story. I wish I put the picture up actually on this, but it was just so nice. I've put here. So since records began in 2003, 2004, our 11 on target shots are the joint most against Real Madrid since they played Liverpool in, I think, 2009. So, I mean, it was a battering, an absolute battering. Here, so ready? I'll go through the players. Declan Rice, 5 shots, 4 on target, one of which was actually blocked. So it wasn't like it was an off-target shot. It was just blocked. Mikel Merino, 3 shots, 3 on target. Thomas Partey, 2 shots, 2 on target. Martinelli, 2 shots, 2 on target. I mean, when Martinelli and Thomas Partey are getting shots on target, you're having a good day. Because I think sometimes the RSPB are looking around when Partey's having a shot from long distance, worrying about seagulls and pigeons and stuff. But it was insane. And for Real Madrid as well. So Real Madrid having 9 shots, 3 on target. That's the second fewest they've had this season. Like, we just stopped them from doing what they do. It was just a case of, you know, they, like you say, the first half, they were dominant, but I say dominant. It was more even. And I think this is part of it, because that atmosphere was just, it was electric.
Yeah, it's just one of them things. Like, I do think obviously the second leg is going to be different. Real Madrid fans are obviously going to carry their team in a lot more way, and I do think in the times where games are even like this, when you've got the fans that we had on that day, which looked incredible, it is going to be one of the moments that does take you through to these sort of results. But like, I don't know, Real Madrid, I do think, and I did say this before, even though obviously it's quite easy to say things in hindsight now, but before the game, there was definitely at least things that went in Arsenal's way against Real Madrid. I mean, how they like to play anyway, they like to counter-attack teams. We are one of the best teams at defending transitions just in Europe. Like, we are incredibly good. You're not going to be brilliant at them against like inevitability like Mbappe and Vinny have and Rodrigo have. It is obviously going to be very hard, especially people like Kivior in there. But we're still just, the structure, the setup defensively is just too good. We've got 2 good players, just amazing players back there, where we just weren't really afraid of them. And as soon as you're not afraid of Real Madrid, I do think a lot of that sort of like aura, the sort of inevitability of them is just kind of gone. Like, I think in this game, they were the ones that looked awful. And I think, again, they were okay until about that second half when we scored the free kick. Then they just completely fell apart. They just completely didn't even look like they wanted to be there. They just wanted to run off, and they were just nowhere to be seen. We could have scored more. I know everyone says that, but realistically, Arsenal don't usually create that many chances like substantially, and we don't take a lot of them. And I'd say in this game we created probably about 5 or 6 big chances, and we ended up scoring 3 fantastic goals and 2 not really even chances. So I guess it evens out in the end, in my opinion. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the tactics, I had a feeling that we might almost have like a double pivot at times with Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. But Arteta was so brave in it. I think we kind of just stuck to our normal game plan, more or less. You know, there wasn't anything that kind of stuck out to me that I went, oh, that's completely different. We've had to change for Real Madrid. It's almost like, for this, Saliba was one of the players. I thought Saliba against Bayern Munich did not show his best. And in big moments in Champions League last year, he wasn't fantastic. But this match, he really stepped up. It's like almost like the players thought to themselves, actually, we are on this level. Like we are capable of playing our game, and we just caused them constant problems. But that's just that atmosphere, the tifo, the flares in the tunnel before, like I genuinely thought that was an AI picture when I first saw it. But that was like actually what the stadium looked like. It's an incredible picture that I found on X. I have retweeted it, so if anyone wants a bit of credit, it is there. It is there. But No, I I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. It was a demolition, and for me, the midfield is what won it. The at times we were 3 versus 2, sometimes 4 versus 3, sometimes even like 5v2. It ended up with Marino and Miles Lewis-Skelly kind of coming into that midfield. So I've kind of looked at this. This is the average positions for both teams. And you can see there, essentially, Camavinga and Modric were just outnumbered. Bellingham didn't know whether he should come infield, which he kind of does in that picture, which then left Rodrigo on his own. Or you kind of stay out wide. Sorry, not Rodrigo, Vinicius, sorry. Or you kind of stay out wide, and then again, you're just completely outnumbered. Just going through those stats, so 1.64 expected goals, which is incredible considering, look at Declan Rice's goals. I mean, we'll go through that in more detail in a bit. I just think the numerical advantage we had was perfect, and Arteta really should, he deserves his flowers for it because it was a perfect game plan. Perfect game plan. Is there anyone like in particular, like in midfield, that you thought was kind of the hub of everything? Because I know Rice is obviously going to get his plaudits for the free kicks. I think Partey was incredibly good. Miles, as I said, stepping into midfield at times. Was there like a standout person for you, or is it just a kind of like a sum of its parts?
I think all of them played their part. I mean, I've made a video about all three of them because I just think individually they were just insane. And I think it's about patience and a lot of build up in times with each other. And I really liked, I mean, I think this whole team actually thrives right now through Miles. I do think
Yeah.
he is the risk taker. He is the one that is going to drive the team up the field. And I do love how he actually works with Party. Like Party used to be that guy that would be on that half turn, he'd be able to drive up the pitch, but he can't really run as much anymore, at least going forward with the ball. I think recovery wise, he's actually all right in this game, but he isn't that sort of player. So having someone like Miles next to him is just so important. It allows Party to do risky passes. He loves risky passes as part of his game into Miles, and then Miles can bait players towards him and then run past them. And like in the midfield, we won the game, but I do think Arsenal's build up was like Real Madrid, I think, prepared for us to kind of win that battle and be able to build up pretty easily. There was times where it was mightily concerning. Like the one in the first half when Timber's off injured and we've only got 10 men and Odegaard's able to come deeper and then Miles just turns Rodrigo and we're out. They've got to be at least more intent because they were just so off it in them aspects. But many points, I think that they were fine with Rice getting the ball in elevated positions in the left-hand side, and they were just not really worried because we had no one in the middle. But for some reason, like even in this game, I think we played the same as we have played in the Prem. But you see in the Prem, teams are a lot more willing to come out wide to stop you when you get into them areas. It seemed like Real Madrid's game plan was like, we'll stop the ball getting to Saka and Martinelli, but when the ball is into them, we'll just let them have it in a 1v1. And then we'll get to a 2v1, it'll be too late, and then there'll be backup players there we haven't covered for. And it always just felt like that was the problem. But we were crossing the ball in still in this game, and only one player was in there. Marino in the first half was not really in the box a lot of the time. And Rice was the only one really running in there, but he was still able to just power his way through, winning headers, creating chances. And then we had players there for the second balls. I just think it just works a lot well, I think, in this game. And I think as well, they were so focused on stopping Party of trying to progress that ball that they just completely didn't even care about Miles or any of the other players. Like Marino was coming deeper. And I've seen a lot of people say that Marino wasn't playing as an out and out nine. He wasn't doing his job right. But I actually think that his like midfield position was, I think he was supposed to be there. I think that was a lot of the plan. Like a lot of the time, Modric didn't move because he was basically covering for Marino. And then Camavinga would just get lost. They just wouldn't recover back. And we were just I do think like in the first half, we planted seeds to get into these areas. And in the second half, they completely lost their heads, Real Madrid. And we had them same seeds that we just took better and we were much more clinical and better in shooting, I think.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the XG, and so I did have the shooting map. I'll put it in. I thought I did. I mean, just look at it. The chances that we created were amazing, like clear-cut chances. The field tilt. I mean, this is from Scott Willis from the Cannon Stats. The field tilt just shows how dominant we were. We were just constantly pressurizing them. And there is that kind of small part between, the 25th and the 30th minute around that point where I think that's where they had the Mbappe chance. So there was the pass from the left-hand side that went through. That's really the only point where I look and I think we were kind of in trouble. Like I get emotionally, I felt like we were under the cosh a little bit more than we probably were in hindsight. Like I rewatched it today, and when you see something through a different lens because the score, it was actually at points I looked and went, apart from that, the Kivior mistake is the only one where I really was worried. I think that, the game plan was perfect. We kind of look at the build up in the first phase. I couldn't believe that Ancelotti just kept the same game plan because they're quite sporadic in, I don't know if sporadic's the right word, but in the way that they press. They don't really go for high turnovers. They don't kind of intensely press like we see often in the Premier League. And essentially they were pressing with just the two in Vinicius and Mbappe. And it gave us so much space. So this picture, like this is within the first minute. And I looked and I just thought, how on earth are you giving that much space to Arsenal? Like it's either you haven't planned right or you just don't respect Arsenal. It's got to be one or the other. And for me, it just wasn't the right decision. And I kind of started going, right, does this happen quite a lot? So I just kind of clicked on Prime, next flick, have a little look, and lo and behold, it was like right here. So 25th minute, exactly the same thing, and the ball's coming through, and the space. I mean, in this one, so you've got Thomas Partey coming out to the right, Miles has come into that, and that's exactly what you're talking about. The amount of time we could play through the lines, and Miles just kept on stepping inside over and over and over again. Again here, so the ball's come through. We've got that huge gap, and you can't quite see it in this picture, but quite often what happened is beyond Camavinga, we ended up with a 3 with Odegaard, Rice, and Marino kind of dropping into that space as well, and that just happened over and over and over again. The build-up was so simple. I've never known a team, and it's probably because everyone respects Arsenal to a certain degree in the Premier League and understands like you cannot sit in positions like this. You can't do it. You either need to press or you even need to sit back on a lower block or like a mid block per se. Real Madrid didn't do that. They just essentially just vacated that space, and Partey and Marsler-Skelly just kept picking it up. It was just mad to me. But yeah, like in the second leg, do you think they set up differently? Because I know obviously they're going to miss Camavinga. He got the second yellow, which for me, I just think the lack of emotional intelligence from Bellingham and Camavinga was on show in that second half. That second goal went in from Rice, and they just lost their heads. I think Bellingham and Camavinga, I mean, they are, within their own right, they are generational talents. These are two guys for their nations that will carry their nations on their backs at some point. But they just seem to be, like I look at Saka and Miles and how they performed. They were so calm, the occasion didn't get to them. I look at Camavinga and Bellingham, and for me, it was just, at times, just petulance. But how do they, because it seems like they're going to have to try and stop us, which is such a crazy thought. I think they're going to actually have to think, how do we stop this happening again, rather than, okay, we're just going to go and try and beat Arsenal, because they do that, they're just going to end up with the same problems.
Yeah, I think the thing is that this whole game for Real Madrid just reeked of arrogance from the players, from the manager, from everything. Like after the game, Jude Bellingham said, "Oh, Arsenal changed a bit of their tactics, and we didn't know." And us who watch Arsenal week are like, "Well, no, not really. We played the same way if we've played for months and months. You just didn't bother to press us, and we just ran through you over and over again." Like, and the whole thing, all their players as well. It's the same thing of the fact that a lot of their players didn't want to press. Like Vinny in the first half was actually pressing us a little bit to run back. It was making us a bit like frantic. We didn't have enough time on the ball. But as soon as we scored, he didn't press anymore. And
Yeah.
you can't have your two strikers not pressing. You can't have two players already on a -2 in the press. And everything they did is just, it made no sense on the day. And I do think they showed no urgency to go to us. They didn't even really try. And they didn't really respect us at all. And Ancelotti is not a tactics guy. He is more of a vibes guy. And I do think that has been benefited from the fact Real
That
Madrid.
might be the biggest, like, I don't know, slight for a manager that's won everything. He's
I
just
mean,
a
yeah.
vibes guy.
I
I
mean,
love that.
the thing is, I do think he's an incredible manager, and I respect him a lot. But I think over 10 to 15 years ago, he was like, I think at that level, you didn't have to be so careful.
I know
with
what
the
you mean.
tactics. Yeah, and he's not a good tactics guy anyway. The guy that does all these tactics is his son. Davide Ancelotti is the guy that everyone's like, oh, this guy's going to be a top manager in the future because he does all the systems. And I do think it is harder than just Ancelotti saying that, because he is working with a lot of players that never press. Mbappe never presses.
Yeah.
Vinny's not used to pressing. But like Rodrigo in this game, bless him, he did try to press, but he couldn't. He just didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know if he had to go to Rice, didn't know if he would pick up Miles, didn't know if he overlap and help for Martinelli. And he was getting so lost over and over again. And I mean, to play Modric at nearly 40 against one of the most active and athletic teams in the world is, I mean, a stupid decision in the first place. When I saw they playing Modric against us, I was like, he's going to get cooked. And he was just no way near the ball at half of the game. Because all their players are so fun and luxury players when you have the ball and you're able to really pen teams in. But when you're going to the Emirates with a team like us and we show a lot of bravery, you're not going to get that same freedom. So I do think in the away game, like going to Real Madrid, I think that they will probably know that we won't be as braver in the Bernabeu. So I do think that they will probably just try and put us in this low block. But obviously we know how good Arsenal are in their moments as well. And we can always counter on them. They've got not great one-on-one defenders. I mean, Alaba was half fit and he's not really played left back in 2 years, but so is Saka. He's half fit and still destroyed him. They had Valverde in right back, who, I mean, Tuchemani's going to be back for the second leg. Obviously, Cavaminga's going to be gone. If I'm them, I'm not playing Modric. I'm playing Tuchemani and Valverde in midfield, and they're going to have to play Vazquez in right back, or left back, sorry. But that will cause more problems because he's just going to get cooked by Martinelli over and over again. But I don't know. That's the only way that they can really, they're going to have to just get through on vibes and motivation, I guess. And I just think, I mean, I do think Arsenal should sit in a lower block. I do think we should try to. But I do think there's certain aspects that we should try to break out. So I just don't think Real Madrid, if they're not going to try and press, if they're not going to run back and recover, then there's always a chance to break on them.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect thing for us is you sit in for the first, 15 minutes, make it very uncomfortable for them, hit them on the break. Because if you get one goal, that stadium will go dead. And all of those players will start going, uh-oh. Like, this could be one of the worst things for Real Madrid. Because they're a club that has such high pressure. Our fans are quick to turn sometimes, but they're another level. You look at the treatment of someone like Gareth Bale, one of the greatest goals in Champions League history, and they treated him terribly. Casillas, they did the same. I just think it could get ugly, and we need to make it ugly for him. We really do. But let's go kind of through the big performances, because as much as they started losing their heads, there was someone that just rose above it, and it is this man, Declan Rice. Rice, baby. I mean, I heard people calling him Decline Rice.
Yeah.
Because apparently his performances are worse, which I think is mental, because he's been fantastic in the last couple of months, really. Just right. Thoughts? What were your thoughts when we got that first free kick?
I mean, when we got
Don't you go saying it was going in. You knew it was going in.
When we got it, I was just sitting there thinking, well, if we cross this is just I like don't see us creating anything. Like, do not just. I was like, we might as well just try and have a go. But I was thinking they'll probably just cross it, and I don't really know what the plan is going to be here. But then when I saw like Rice there, I was just thinking like, yeah, why don't I mean we've been I mean it's not like a surprise. Like a lot of Arsenal fans we've been speaking about it, how Rice should be probably taking free kicks, like especially direct free kicks. We spoke about it for a while about how good he is from corners, how good he is from dead balls, and how he's got that great shot. So when he was over it, I was just like, just don't give it to Odegaard. Just I just do not want him taking it. Not even just to shoot and just to crossing as well. I just think it's just not it. He's not on form, and I just don't want to waste opportunities on someone that is not really on that form. But I don't know when he hit it, I don't know. It's so quick. Like I didn't even think about it, and then it just was in. I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
oh my god. I didn't. I don't know. The second one, it was like by that time, I was just like, yeah, just have a shot. Who cares? Just go again.
That first one, it bent so much. I didn't realize it was, it was going to come back in. I thought, and it just suddenly whipped round. I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable scenes. But the first one for me, when that went in, I thought to myself like, oh, amazing that we've got a bit of breathing room. Like, let's properly grow into the game now. Let's make use of this. At least we've got a goal advantage, because you always know Real Madrid are capable of something, especially in the Champions League. That second one, I said it earlier, honestly, I was giggling because I was just like, it is outrageous. It's absolutely outrageous. I've got here because Wesley Sneijder, I don't know if you saw the quotes from Wesley Sneijder. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't.
Oh, mate, so I'll read it out to you. So he said, that wall wasn't positioned properly for the first goal. Courtois assumes that the Saka will take it. He's a left footer. And he goes on to say, this seems very difficult, but for a right-footed player, this is very easy. And I just thought, talk about salt. Like, I know you played for Madrid, but Jesus, like it's bonkers, because looking at the XG there, all right, 0.04 for the first one, 0.06 for the second one. The XG philosophy was saying as it was hit, the second free kick, it was a 0.97 XGOT. So for those of you that aren't kind of stats nerds like me and Reese, essentially what that means is out of 100 shots, only 3 times would that have been saved by the keeper. It's that perfect. You're like, there was a spider in that corner of the net worried about his home. He hit it that well. It's just, I can't remember an Arsenal free kick that good. Like the only one I can think of, and I think it's probably more like the aura around it, was the Thierry Henry. I think it was against Leeds, and he hit it, and then it got like he had to retake it. But I think it's more the kind of the meaning of it, and the the way he kind of turned around was like, is that all right? Is that okay? That second one is an unbelievable strike. There are only, so let me just double check. There's only 5 players that have ever scored 2 direct free kicks in the Champions League. Can you name them? Go on. It's a little quiz. Declan Rice is one.
I guess Jorginho is one. I would have to guess.
He's not on there, mate.
Oh, right. I know he scored one, so I guess he never scored another one. I don't know. I can't even think. Messi is surely on there.
He's not on there. Oh, mate. Oh, you having a mare here.
Well, I know that these people scored free kicks. I just don't know how many they scored.
I'll go through. So Rivaldo scored for AC Milan. Against AC Milan, sorry. Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously. Yeah. That was against Zurich, I think. I could be wrong on that one. Neymar, and then Hakim Ziyech. And that was against United, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, I did watch that game.
But I mean, he is in very good company there. That's unbelievable. So I had a little bit of digging here as well, because I thought to myself, I wonder, and you can tell I'm on half term right now because I've actually had time to do this. I thought to myself, I wonder how many free kicks everyone has taken since the last Odegaard goal. All right. This took me a long time, so I hope you appreciate this. Right. So Odegaard has taken 30 free kicks since the last one he scored. You've then got, none on target. Granit Xhaka took 6. It's been that long. Granit Xhaka took 6 free kicks since then for Arsenal. Declan Rice has taken 6. He scored 2, but albeit in this last game. Bukayo Saka has taken 5. And then Raheem Sterling has taken 3 as well. Like, it's mad. We have been dreadful with free kicks. I just hope Odegaard just doesn't go near him now. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I think
horrible to
that
say
is
that about
probably
your
it.
captain, but
I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? Like, we've been speaking about us not being great from free kicks for like ever. Well, especially direct free kicks. I mean, indirect free kicks, we're not the worst. We have scored some goals recently. But it's just the, I don't know. We've always talked about moments in the Champions League, and even when you play well, you need moments. And it was like it just came in this game. But I do want to ask: do you count Saka's goal against PSG as a direct free kick? Because when I was doing my stats for it, I was like, well, yeah, technically the Odegaard one is, but then technically Saka did just score straight from a free kick against PSG, even though everyone missed it. And I was like, it is kind of like it's
funny you say that, because when I did the digging for that, it comes up as a goal. They count it. So they say we've scored 3 technically since the Odegaard one in 2001. I don't know. For me, I don't know. Maybe it's harsh, but I don't see it as a free kick goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just...
Yeah. In my video, I said it sounds better if we don't count it, so I'm not going to count it. That's what I said. Let's go back to the Odegaard one.
I mean, and I don't think you're going to see 2 better free kicks than the 2 from Declan Rice. It's, like when you're in the zone for something. Like, I don't know what it might be. It might be having a free throw for basketball, or like you're playing a computer game. I don't know. You're like, you don't miss a shot. You cannot go wrong. You're on like a kill streak, that type of thing. Like, Declan Rice was just free flow, perfect. Like, he must have stepped up to that second one thinking, yeah, this is going in. That it's one of those that he struck it slightly different as well, which made me think that he knew, actually, I don't have to hit this as hard. I can get this that different kind of trajectory. It was unbelievable strike. I've got some stats for Declan Rice actually before we move on, because it's worth saying about him. So here are some of the stats. But apart from these, right? So he had 5 shots, leading all players. 87.5 pass accuracy. 105.2% pass efficiency. He had 3 progressive passes, which I think totaled over 300 yards. 6 progressive carries, 3 into the final third, 2 carries into the box. He had 6 passes, progressive passes received, 9 touches in the Real Madrid box. Like, that is an all-action midfielder. I think for me, someone that said, I want to see him in the 6, I'll put my hands up and say, to be fair, this is the perfect game for him to play as an 8. But oh my God, did he step up and kind of, I think it was almost like a performance where you go, all right, I can see why you spent so much money on him, because he just ran over players at times. He's just physically, he must be awful to play against, because he just bullies people, just constantly runs and runs and runs. Unbelievable performance. Another player though that we do have to talk about, Saka. World class, yes or no?
Yes, 100%. And he has been for about 18 months, I would say. I just think, yeah, I mean, this guy, I mean, the team just gets into another level when he's there. And it's just like, I don't even know. He does all the simple things brilliantly, but he is such a well-rounded player. In my mind, there's no doubt now that he is the most well-rounded right winger in the world. I think you can argue maybe Salah's obviously maybe a better player if you count goals and that sort of contribution a little bit more. But I don't think he could do anywhere near as what Saka can do around the pitch. And it's like in the center of the pitch when he was picking that ball up, it's just so crazy. This guy's been playing as a winger and a wing back for most of his career. And the fact he can just come into the center and just take people on like in front of him over and over again, the best players in the world, it's just not normal. This guy is not even fit. He's what, 50%, if we could say that. And obviously he couldn't even play the full 90, but he just is on another level. And when he's in that one-on-one, I saw loads of like Real Madrid tweets as well by fans saying that, oh, Saka's not known for his one-on-one ability and he cooked Alaba. And it's like, he is known for his, like, what? Like, that is like one of his best things. Like,
I guess he's got like an odd, like I always say about the aesthetic bias with him. Like he has got an odd way of bypassing like one-on-one situations. Like he's not like your old school winger, like in the Cristiano, like young Cristiano doing step overs, trying to beat a man with pace. He doesn't really do that. He does it in an intelligent manner. He's like just so efficient. So yeah, sorry to cut you off, but like I can kind of see why people might not think that, but putting him one-on-one is just lunacy, let's be honest.
It is, yeah. He is definitely more of like an intelligent winger than I would say like a skillful winger. So like a lot of people just like will inherently think that's like not as good as a player. And I just think like I think Saka and Rice, both of them, I'm really glad they had these games because I've seen a lot of people that have just been disrespecting them. Like even message me being like, "Oh, they're actually really good." It's like they've been like this for 2 years. Like they've been doing this. Like
really good.
yeah, like I didn't even know what to say. Like the amount of disrespect I saw on like about Arsenal before this game by pretty much everyone in the world was like Arsenal fans have a right to like feel a bit nervous going into this game because it's a big Champions League like moment and we're not really used to our team being in these situations and we still got a young team and they're not experienced and Arsenal fans are just inherently going to be quite negative because they don't want to have their hopes high to get ruined. But like I've seen so many people that I like think are quite intelligent football analysts before this game just write us off completely. And even in my videos, I might be a bit optimistic compared to some people, but I was like, there is no way I'm writing off Arsenal completely. I've watched Real Madrid so many times this season be awful at defending, and they're great on the counter. But if Arsenal are good at anything, it's defending. And if you're bad at defending and give us space, we will eventually take that. We do have good enough players to score a worldie here and there, even though it doesn't happen all the time. And I just saw the disrespect when people were like, there's absolutely no way Arsenal win this game. I just thought there's no, like, we still might not go through, but there's definitely been a chance for us to go through quite clearly. And we were a much better team than in this game. And it's the same with like, when I hear people say about Rodrigo compared to Saka. Well, we saw how lost Rodrigo was at defending and tracking.
Yeah.
And people might not regard that as like a thing that you need to be good at, which is fair enough. That's not something that Real Madrid try and enhance from him. But because Saka's an all-round player and better at doing more things, shouldn't like go against him. And I think
like,
in this,
he would walk it for me. He'd walk into that team now. If you look at judged on that performance, he would start for Real Madrid out on that right hand side. Because the other thing is, if he wasn't asked to do all that defensive work, for me, I dread to think the kind of GA he would be kind of putting out, especially in the Spanish league. I think La Liga is a fantastic league, but it's not in the same mold as the Premier League. You don't get the kind of low blocks like you do over here. I think he would have far more space, room to transition. He'd be playing, with players like Mbappe. I think, yeah. Sorry, I interjected again. I think judged on that performance, and don't get me wrong, you can't just judge everything on one performance. Otherwise, you're going to end up like, Liverpool with, what was the player they got from Senegal? Do you remember? They had like, what's the striker? El Hadj Diouf. You're going to end up with something like that. But he's just unbelievably good. And the whole Foden Palmer thing just needs to be put to bed now because, don't get me wrong, they're both fantastic players. But Saka has done it for club and country for longer. And he just never dips. This is a guy who's had over 100 days off. His first start since that. like we said, like, 50% fit, and he is running past. Like the free kicks that we got were from him, and Bellingham just didn't know what to do in the end. Just dragged him down. It was, yeah. Sorry, mate.
No, no,
Yeah,
no.
it
It's
baffles
so
me.
true,
It
yeah,
baffles
like,
me.
it is that sort of thing, and I do think within England, I know there's always this English bias or whatever, and there is definitely a lot of hype, I'd say, on media, but I do
Mm.
think that is, like, perception is not necessarily true nowadays. I think if anything, the English media is pretty negative on any English player coming up, it seems like. But around Europe, I think the perception that, like, Saka, it's always the perception that Saka isn't as good as, like, Rodrigo or Vinny because of who he plays for, because he's an Arsenal player, because he's from London, because he's English. But actually, he is equally as good as them. He's just not been able to show it because of where we've been at as a club over the last few years and where England have been at in many ways. Not, I know they've got to finals and stuff, but they haven't exactly played great football. Mbappe has played in PSG where they just inherently went for him. Same with
Yeah.
Real Madrid, same for France. And I do think, like, in both games I've watched Saka against Mbappe, he's been way better than him. In the France-England game in the World Cup, he was way better than him. And in this one, he was as well. And because I just think he can do so much more that people just don't see, that people just never really regard him. And I've been saying that Saka's world class for over 2 years now, nearly, because every year he's improving to a level that is, like, unreal to even think about, that a player from our academy can be this good. But it's just everything he does for the team is just so important. And I just think I've seen people say, like, I speak to some people and they're like, well, why would you get him to defend if he's so good going forward? But he's such a good defender, then why would we not get him to do that?
Yeah.
That's the whole point of our tactics. I think there's a screenshot of when Arsenal score their third goal. We have about 6, 7 people in the box or around the box. And then when we're defending in the last minute, we have 6 or 7 players in our box and they only have 3 or 4. Well, that's where tactics and systems come into play, where ours makes more sense because we all play as a team. We all work together. And Saka's a big reason for that. And his undeniable quality in the 1v1s, even in this game at not his full fitness, and he didn't even really have to show his full ability in many ways, but he was still, like, he probably should have got a couple of assists for people if we had someone maybe getting in the middle a little bit. But also just the fact, like, both our free kicks are won because he was just taking them on. He's just doing what he wants. And I don't think anyone else is going to do that for us. Like, I think Martinelli, yet again, in this game was really good, but even Martinelli at his best is never going to be able to be that comfortable on the ball compared to Saka.
No, and to be fair, with the recruitment in the summer, we kind of touched on it last week when we were making our, like, dream windows. It's so difficult because of that off the ball presence we have to have. It's not as easy as like a Rafa Leao. I saw that he was again linked, like a very kind of, I don't know what you call it, a dubious link. But for me, I don't know if it's kind of gone past him now to learn that side of the game, and to have it, not just learn it, but have it embedded, because it has to be this kind of natural thing that you have to get back. You have to slot into positions. The times we made like a back five because everyone shifted towards the left, and then Bukayo ended up as a right wing back almost. And I don't know how many players in world football at that level are willing to do that work. Like,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the top 3 right wingers right now for me are Yamal, Salah, and Saka. Saka's the only one that would work that hard. Yamal is at an age where he will, if he was kind of put under a certain manager, I think he would be, he would embed himself into that. But Barcelona don't kind of work the same way as we do out of possession. Salah's never in a million years going to do that. Physically, he can't, and he just wouldn't. He just wouldn't do it. So it's it's an interesting situation that we have on the left-hand side, because whoever we get in has got to be able to do that side of the job, which is just not easy.
And like, if they can't do that job, like, they have to be better than Saka going forward, or at least, like, to a level where you're like, well, it's fine. But that's the thing with Leao. Like, I think Leao's good, but would he be better than Saka going forward for this team? I don't think so personally. So I just don't think it's worth it. I think with Martinelli right now it works because he is a really hard worker off the ball. He really does work hard defensively, which has always been a great part of this game, and it's got better, if anything, over the last couple of years. And he's not a bad player, like, when he's on his day, like, in the forward areas. He's not the person I'd say we want to build up mostly with, But in this game, I thought our left-hand side actually worked very well. And there has been games where our left-hand side has worked well, and he does take people on. And I do think I think that's why to me, like the Williams links makes sense because he does bring that. He does work hard, he can defend, but he also is like a very good one-on-one player. So if you do need to have Saka defend as well, you can have him be that outlet that you need. But in this game, Saka was actually our outlet. He was much further forward compared to Martinelli. And
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense given his like injury concerns of just coming back. We don't want him to run around everywhere. We want Saka to be that guy that's going to have impact in the final third. And that helps. Like Martinelli is a big reason why we're able to do that because he does work. I mean, Martinelli did play a lot centrally in this game, but it's just Martinelli worked so hard, I think, and it made sure that Saka didn't have to run as much, which it really worked in this game.
Yeah, here is exactly what you said. You look at Bukayo Saka, so on this, I mean, moving to the right-hand side, he's so far advanced as his average position, which is not something that we usually see with him, but you can also see Mikel Merino dropping back in. It's really interesting how, Bukayo was kind of allowed to do that. One of the best things with him as well was, I'm not going to say legacy wise, he's not on the same level as like a Robin, but Robin was one of those players that you essentially managers would have said to the defenders, don't let him go inside, show him down the line, do not let him inside. And I think that probably was like the idea, don't let Saka go inside. And there are multiple times where he just went on the outside, he put that one ball across, and it was just begging for someone to throw themselves at it. And at the time, no one did. And I think Alaba at that point just went, uh-oh. What do I do about this now? Because now I don't know whether, do I show him outside? Do I show him inside? Like, what do you do? And I don't think that at the end of the day, they didn't have a choice. Saka just went where he wanted to. It was unbelievable. I've got this. So I thought this kind of showed it really nicely. So this was one of the things that happened quite often. So in build-up, Martinelli and Saka were really, really stretching the pitch. And we quite often ended up with that one-on-one situation. You've got Bellingham there, who's almost like in no man's land. Like he's not really cutting out any passes apart from towards Odegaard, I guess. But Partey is free in that position. You've got the Merino, Rice and Odegaard positions there between the lines that I talked about earlier. And then every single time, it was either Saka or Martinelli that were kind of in the really nice high and wide positions, and it was just perfect positioning. You can see Miles coming inside there as well, just essentially making that next step of build up if we wanted to. It was unbelievable. The one thing I do want to touch in, Reese, is that before the game, so I said this to James B. So before the game, I was worried, concerned about the occasion. It's Real Madrid. For me, the biggest club in world football, biggest club in history. It is their competition. They are the champions. Was it going to be a case of, we end up playing to the occasion and playing against the idea of Real Madrid? Bukayo Saka was in an interview. I don't know if you saw it, and they were asking him about Vinicius and Mbappe. And he essentially said, I don't really want to start sitting here saying they're a level above me and stuff like that, because that's not the way I think. Just leave it to everyone else to have their own opinion. That little snippet of that interview, that made me feel so much more optimistic and confident, because I started thinking, okay, he obviously thinks he's on the same level as them. He obviously looks at himself and goes, he's not going to shout about it. He's not that kind of personality. I'd love to see Miles in 5 years' time, because I have a feeling he probably would say that he is. But I started to think, well, actually, Saliba probably thinks the same. He probably thinks, yeah, I am one of the top 3 centre-backs in world football. Declan Rice probably thought to himself, yeah, I can make a statement here. I can run over a Ballon d'Or winner in Modric. I can run this midfield. It was really interesting to kind of see them almost come of age, a lot of the squad, because we forget they are a really young squad. And hopefully some of, the kind of players that need contracts renewed, that's a little reminder to them of, actually you can stay a little while longer. We've just beaten Real Madrid. This is, it's not a bad place to be for another, 4 or 5 years. Just before we kind of move on, is there kind of anything in that kind of picture there? Because I know I haven't talked to you about this. Is there anything like you were quite surprised about with Saka? I know you said about him kind of coming inside, playing in central zone sometimes, but was it just the kind of where he was positioned, like so high up the pitch, or kind of is that something that you would have expected considering his injury and who we're playing and how they play?
Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't have expected us to do it because I probably wouldn't have expected Arteta to be so brave, especially in that first half. I did think that there was a chance Arsenal could be a little bit braver, and I felt like we would not completely scrap up our system. I feel like we would have still kept the same sort of principles. But I thought maybe, yeah, you might see a more defensive side, maybe one of the wingers or Rice come a bit back a bit more. Um, but with Saka, like, it's quite interesting. I think just him in general, like when he in this game, I think the reason why he was so far forward in many reasons is because Timber didn't back him up as much as he could, especially like in certain instances. Like he did sometimes when he came for the second ball, but a lot of the times Timber stayed back because he was wary of the Vinny Jr. threat of the break. And there was many times where Timber, instead of making the runs that we've seen him do, he didn't. So that kind of made me think that we let Saka to kind of do it himself. And if we're going to subside one of the sides, I think that's obviously the one that makes more sense. With Vinny's better than Rodrigo, especially because Rodrigo plays on the wrong side and he has done for 2 years. And Timber's like a better defensive player than Miles, who's obviously going to invert. So like it actually played a lot into the way that I thought it actually played well into our hands. Just their strongest side being their left and our strongest defensive side being our right, I think actually also helped. And because of that, I think that makes sense to leave Saka like so far out there by himself. Odegaard, yet again, some of his positionings were a bit interesting. But I thought when we broke and he came a bit deeper, sometimes we actually got out. It worked a lot. And I did think that like I liked Saka's position. I think yes, it makes sense with the injuries. You don't want him running back all the time. Like we just don't need to waste him in them sort of instances. Also, Timber is the best one-on-one wide defender in the world.
Yeah.
He just is incredible. So I think there's that sort of level where you don't need him to come back. And also Partey covered a lot for that right back area. He was in that spot a lot. He'd always come in help a lot of the time for Timber. So I do think that also helped. So I think it made sense. It was intelligent and it did risk a little bit with the fact that Timber didn't necessarily help us in attack and we didn't create too much. And then when Timber actually did go forward areas, we did create when he had that cross into the box. But yeah, I think it makes sense given the situation. And Saka is self-sustainable. He can create by himself against 3 players, and he did multiple times in this game. So I think it was very smart by Arteta, I think, on this one.
Yeah, 100%. It's so funny that you said that because I've got this here as the next slide. I think Partey, Timber, and Miles Lewis-Skelly are just honourable mentions in terms of how they performed. Saliba as well. I mean, they all performed fantastically, but yeah, I think these 3 guys were key to allowing Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka to, flourish, essentially. They were just so good. Like, you're in Timber, look at that, like, 1 duel, 1 tackle, 48 successful passes, 5 recoveries. Like, he was just, he was obviously so aware of the problems that we could face in transition. And he never seemed to be flustered. Like, he's perfect for these big games. I said it quite a while ago. It would have been in pre-season, and I made a judgment call, and I said in big 6 matches for me, I want to see Timber, not Ben White, if they're both fit. I got a bit of backlash for that because I get it because I love Ben White, but I think what Timber gives you in solidity just cannot be kind of underestimated. He just gives you such a good base to then and platform to go and play on. Certain times I think maybe against like lower blocks, he's not like the perfect player. He doesn't kind of go out and wide like Ben does, but he's just such a good player. And Miles Skelly there, I had it in the pass map. It was so interesting seeing him dropping in those zones. And it must have been a good 25 minutes before Real Madrid started kind of just trying to negate that and and sort out that problem, because he was just a thorn in their side. And I think it's really nice because a lot of rival fans are starting to look at him and go, oh, maybe he's not just hype. Because for England now, it seemed like it was Tuchel's plan to essentially go, right, you're stepping in there next to Declan Rice. Arteta's essentially said, yeah, you're my number one. This is a huge occasion to put him in. I saw some people talk about playing Kieran Tierney out on the left. Some people hoping that Calafiori was going to be back to play him. But Miles is just incredible. To be on essentially the world's biggest stage in the Champions League against Real Madrid, and just to do that, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Like the guy, hopefully we get him down to a new contract. Where do you know how long his contract is actually?
No, I think it will probably be like another. I would guess 2 years. I would probably guess, but he's gonna be. He's probably on like nothing. Bless him. He's probably on
Yeah,
like
he
no
probably
money, so
is.
they need to re-sign him right now. I just Miles is like. I think this season. I think well, obviously the silver lining. Obviously we've had problems, injury problems, a lot of other issues. But obviously him and Ethan coming through has been like I'd say a great thing that's happened. That wouldn't have happened if these injuries didn't occur so badly. It's like the same as Saka probably wouldn't have broke through at Arsenal if we weren't so bad
Yeah,
in COVID. And it's like these sort of things eventually, like this is why when you lose sometimes it is about learning. And I do think like another year is not always the end of the world to just get your team into that situation. But I don't know, Miles in this game, I wasn't even surprised at this point. It's just another performance by him where every single week I'm watching this guy get better and better. At the first, when I first saw him, it was all about the defensive work, how good he is on the ball, how good he is like sustaining pressure, how good he is, how press resistant he is. And now it's all of that, but he's added so much attacking work into his game. He's always had line breaking passes very well, but now he's doing them more often. He's more confident. He's being much more efficient within the box and around
yeah.
it, which he just wasn't. Like when he first came in, it was always a thing about well, Calafiori's a better attacker, but he's a better defender. But now he definitely could rival him in that way. He is so effective, so good, so brave. And I do think he is one of the like people need to start putting this guy in the conversations of the best youngsters in the world. They really do. This
Yeah.
guy's been doing it for months now. Like it's 6, 7 months ago, I think it was when I watched him play against Bolton. I watched that game and I was like, he is insane. And obviously, Ethan scored twice in that game, so everyone's talking about Ethan, and that's fair enough. But that whole game, I was just thinking, Miles, this like that kid is ready for this level. I wouldn't expect him in 6 months' time to be playing for England, scoring for England. They're playing against Real Madrid in what was, in my opinion, probably the second best player on the pitch behind maybe Rice. I do think he was that good. He was so effective, so brave. I mean, so many chances that we created. We've asked for Arsenal for so long to just be a bit braver, to want to actually attack. Sometimes you've got to take risks. Sometimes you've got to run at players. And we're a bit methodical. We're a bit, not wanting to do these things. And he just loves it. He just runs at people all day.
Oh, he's unbelievable. I mean, I'm looking at Capology, okay, which is a pretty good source. It's saying he gets £4,000 a week. Ethan's on 6. But it says here, interestingly, I wonder if this is because he came out of the academy. It's saying that he signed the contract July the 1st, 2024, and it's only running until June 30th this year.
Uh,
So he must be in line alongside. So Ethan's the same. Because, I mean, what's their gross? I mean, he's on £200,000 a year. And Ethan's on £300,000 a year, which is just, I mean, that's mad. I mean, they will sign on to big contracts. They'll be 5-6 years. Hopefully, we can kind of do a longer term deal for them. But just the sky's the limit for both of those two. They're just unbelievable. I don't think there's many teams around the world that has got graduates from their academy, and not. The thing is, I think some people get this confused and think that because teams bring in players to their academy. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but these are like true homegrown players. They've been there for years and years. Yeah, they've got big futures. Let's kind of go through the team then. We'll go through the team before we kind of look at Brentford. I guess we better do that at some point. So, the starting goal out of 10, we've got David Raya. Score?
I'd give him an 8.
Yep.
I think he was like incredible, but like obviously I do think a goalkeeper's kind of capped on like what the other team do, and Real Madrid didn't offer anything. If he'd made something like, it's not a 10 because I think a 10 is just like a performance of a goalkeeper where they have all of the tangibles that you want, like Ryan brought, but also brilliant shot stopping.
Yeah.
But obviously that's not like his fault that Real Madrid didn't even bother to attack half the time.
No, he was real patient and build up as well. Like he allowed both Vinicius and Mbappe to kind of push forward, and then just every single time just broke that press. He's he was good, solid. Yeah. Do you want to start left or right?
Start with right.
Go on then. So you're in Timber. For me, I think another 8. I think he could have possibly given more going forward, but I don't think Bukayo Saka needed him to. You get certain games where you're getting doubled up on. You need to break that space. You need an overlapping run or something different. But he didn't need to. Didn't congest space alongside Odegaard. Kept Vinicius so quiet. Like you say, I think for me right now, he is number 1 in the world defending wide areas. He's just one-on-one defending. He's just so good. Happy with that?
Yeah, I do think. Yeah, I feel like maybe I'd give him maybe a 9 because I do think he was just. I just don't know if there was much more he could do because I think he didn't go forward because of a tactical thing rather than his like necessity. So I don't know. I don't know how much I would want to blame him for that, but I just think like, yeah, maybe 8's fair. I think out of any of our defenders though, maybe other than Miles, but he basically played in midfield, I think he was probably the best one, I would have to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. We'll give him 8.5 then. Midway. Go on then, Saliba.
Yeah, Saliba, probably an 8. I would probably give him an 8. I mean, it's like, how much can they do? Like, I mean, they had like, in my eyes, like Saliba did have almost a perfect game, but then there's certain levels of like, well, Real Madrid didn't offer anything. So how much am I going to give him a rating for that, or like give him the benefit? Like realistically, he probably had a 9, almost perfect game. Didn't really put a foot wrong, but also Real Madrid just didn't really offer a lot, I felt like. But yeah, Saliba was excellent. I also think his passing in this game was especially much better. Like I remember like vividly the Porto game, both of them. But the Emirates one, his passing in that Emirates one was awful. He was so shaky, he was so nervous. And I remember Gabriel had to keep trying to calm him down in that game, and it was a big moment for him. So I do think the fact he basically had to be the leader for Kivior in this game was a major thing, and he really took it really well. So I do think for that, I'll actually give him an 8.5, I think.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing, like keepers, like how high can you give them without them pulling off worldies? It's that horrible position where, like, unless you're really troubled and you pull off a last ditch tackle. But some people would argue if you're having to pull off a last ditch tackle, maybe you're out of position. So I don't know. I think, yeah, for me, yeah, I'm happy with that. Kivior. Okay, so we called this last week. We said Kivior was going to start. He's going to have a great game. He's going to have a mistake in him, but he's going to ride it out. And just, for me, genuinely, he was brilliant. Like, I've got a lot of time for him because he does seem like someone, he always tries. He just seems to lack the confidence for a team that are reaching the levels that Arsenal are reaching or aspiring to reach. I think if you're trying to, battle the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas of the Champions League, you're trying to beat the Liverpools and the Cities in the Premier League, you've got to have such high confidence. And I think sometimes, the top level players, like a Cristiano Ronaldo, they come off very arrogant, but I don't think he can reach that level without that self-confidence. For me, he just seems like one of the good guys. I kind of, he's the underdog. I root for him. I always think, God, like, I don't want any of our players to perform badly for an agenda. I'm not overly confident when he's in the team, but I was so pleased for him. Like, some of his passing was really good. He had quite an important role. I think that shouldn't be underestimated, that when Miles is stepping in, that is such a difficult thing to then, that left-hand side, that channel, that is yours now. Because if there is a breakaway, Rodrigo is yours. You're going to have to cover that space, and you're going to have to essentially slow down the play so we can kind of get back in position. And I think he did a very, very good job. There was the one error he made at the beginning. Was it like about 20th minute? He made that error. That could have been better. Maybe I need to knock off a little mark or two for that. But for me, I would say overall an 8. But maybe I knock it down for that error and give him like a 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, to be honest, like, as much as I think in the second half, I think Kivior was probably nearly the best I've ever seen him. It is quite a quintessential Kivior performance in many ways. Like, he has a bit of a rough start. Maybe he'll miss a ball, miss a duel. And then you just, like, it's all about, like, just staying in the game and confidence. He's done this so much for us over the whole time he's been here. Like, even the Palace game when he played in left back in the cup, and he made that mistake in the first 4 minutes, and they scored. After that, I thought he was great. It's just that it's that sort of thing. He's always been this player that he's a confidence player. I think it doesn't help his confidence where he's not in the team for so long and it has to come in. It's a bit like what you do. Like, Ramsdale's a perfect example. If Ramsdale was not in the team very often and then would come in, as much as he's a keeper for us, so it didn't really happen. His confidence would be shot to pieces. I think it's happened a lot at Southampton. But he needs to have that consistent game time of playing. And in this game, is like, he just got better as the game went on. I thought Saliba helped him tremendously. I think the experience that Saliba showed really was great. But yeah, I mean, his passing's always been good. Like, I've always been a great, like, really liked Kivior's passing. And he was a big outlet of some of the passes that we had to do. And I just thought, yeah, it was one of them games where in the second half, I just thought like he was getting everything right. He was using he was actually being physical on Mbappe, and I never thought it'd see the day because I've criticised his physicality so much. But like, I mean, I'm a bit of a fan of Kivior. I actually think he's better than a lot of people say. So I'm very happy he had this performance for him.
Yeah, I think he's the type of player. If he goes to like a Serie A and then plays week in, week out, people will go, God, he was actually not a bad player. I think he'd surprise a lot of people. Yeah, that run at left back, he was great. But yeah, he's do you know what? In the second leg, he might be, this might be a bit of a stretch. He could be a key component to sitting in a low block and playing on the counter, because he does have a lovely ball over the top in his locker. So that could be something that you could use to exploit Real Madrid, because they're going to have to come out. They can't just. It might be sensible for them to play, a little bit more closed up in the second leg. But yeah, he could be good use. Left back, go on, mate. Miles Lewis-Skelly.
I think his performance is like a 10. I just don't even know how better he could get. And the thing is, as well, I said this in my video about him, I don't actually know if it's his best performance. I can't remember. There was a performance he had in one game that he had, and the Man City one. It might have been the Man City one where he was just unreal, and I just thought that is the best I've ever seen him. And in the England game as well, I thought he was insane. But I don't know. He's just got everything to his locker. Like, a lot of our build up was basically him and Rice, and a lot of our like good incisive passes were in the final third were basically Miles overlapping really well and doing great work. And like we said about Timber not really going forward. Well, Miles did. He went really forward and then really drove. I mean, there's that moment, I think, in the first half where he picks the ball up in the air, he brings it down and he runs. There's two players on him. He out muscles them and then puts that ball through. I think it's just maybe a bit too hard, but I was just like, that is just talent, that is. And when he ran through like the whole Real Madrid team when we should have scored, and the keepers did a great save, Courtois. That was just like all through him, just because he's
Yeah.
on the edge of the box, he just runs through players. I'm like, yeah, that's just incredible. There's also some like novelty in it, being like who he is. He's 18 and wanting him to do well, maybe like liking him more than other players. But even then, just objectively, I think he's one of the best players on the pitch, and it's great. I don't think he can get any better.
No, I completely agree. It was really interesting as well. There was the moment in the first half, like towards the beginning of the game, might be that maybe the first like couple of minutes. Martinelli ended up going down the line and knocking the ball in for a cross. But at the time, I noticed Declan Rice kind of pointing, saying like, use Miles in this underlap. Kind of like what he did for England when he got the goal. But that's kind of how the third goal came, because Miles picked up that position again. And it's obvious that everyone has confidence in him, which must be massive, for someone his age, for players like Declan Rice to be saying, use him. Saliba being confident and David Raya confident of him picking up those areas in midfield in the first phase. It's just an unbelievable talent. Do you think, like, next season, does he take up a midfield berth, or do you think it almost takes away from his game now that if he does start in midfield, then he's not kind of driving from those same positions and picking up those same positions because he's starting on those? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or like, what would you do in terms of squad building next year? Does it change anything for you?
It's a weird one, because I think if Miles is in midfield, then I don't really think Rice works as well as he probably would. Like, I think it might take away from what Rice can do. And I do think it does. I still firmly believe we're going to play a double pivot a lot next season. I do think obviously Rice will go and be as aggressive as he is in this game in some ways. And even then, that might be Miles coming in from left back. And I was saying this the other day. I just think that maybe he will just be a left back that comes inside, because he is basically playing as a midfielder. Like 90% of his time on the ball is in midfield. So maybe this is just the future of the team. This is maybe the way that he wanted to get the original Zinchenko plan, with two inverted players on either side, and actually defensively solid and good recovery time as well. Like, be there. And I think this will be the future. I mean, I still want Arsenal to sign a left back who can overlap. And I've seen people say Yoel Hato as to be like a backup left centre back. And obviously, we've seen the links to Huijsen today. So maybe they are looking at that in some ways. But I think that would be more of a left centre back cover than like a left back. So I think I think at least next season, he'll probably be our left back. I don't really, he could be a backup for Zubimendi in midfield. I do think that's always an option, but I
Yeah.
don't think it'll be something he uses that often. I think he'll more likely put Rice as a backup DM and then Marino in left centre mid, then do that.
Yeah, completely agree. Thomas Partey, for me, one of his best performances. I quite often worry because he has these moments of brilliance mixed in with moments of just calamity, and sometimes it goes unnoticed. I don't think some people realize what he does wrong. And there's no agenda. I genuinely love watching him play. He's a real throwback midfielder. He's not as powerful as he used to be, but he's still got that, he's able to turn and kind of shift one way and then move the other way quite quickly. Always able to take the ball, like receive it and almost take out players. He didn't need to do that as much in this game, but he was just so assured in everything. Even his passing recently, I've noticed he's been a little bit more not maybe risk averse. I don't know if that's the right term, but this was like Partey back to his best. He was just so good. For me, I think a 9. Yeah.
I think it's Partey's best game in 3 years. I mean, maybe that's quite unfair to the City game, because he was incredible in that game as well. But in this game, given his age and his experience against Madrid, but also compared to the players around him, it's one of the moments where he needs to step up in many ways, where he needs to be calmer, he needs to be patient, he needs to be not less frantic. And all of that has been things I've criticised him in the past for, because even like in any game, he is always a bit frantic in certain natures. But I think Arteta did really well in this game to kind of make part. In a sense, he said to Partey, "You're not going to do the running anymore. We know you can't do it. If you need, if you find space, you find moments. Give the ball to Miles and let him do the
Yeah.
running." And I thought in this game as well, Partey created space for Miles so well. And me, and more importantly, I just think the patience he showed in certain moments. That third goal is a brilliant goal, but half of it is through Partey. He is so patient. He could make forward
Yeah.
runs. He takes his time. He recycles play. He finds gaps. And I just haven't seen Partey do that like really at all this season, as well as he did it in this game. And I just thought he was great. His recovery time was brilliant. He made one poor pass, I think, later on, and then he instantly recovered and won the ball back. And I was just like, this is genuinely like, it's like Partey has now figured out what he can do and what he can't, and so is Arteta. So Arteta's not making him do all these runs now, and it just worked really well. And I think, yeah, it's just one of them one of them games where I'm like, if Partey plays like this, we've got always got a chance in a Champions League. I think.
Keep him for next season.
No, but
I love it. No.
no, he's not too much money, unfortunately. But he could give us something to leave with, I think.
Yeah, I think the other thing is the Atleti, the tenure he had there. I think that puts him in real good stead for this kind of game, especially a second leg. He's the kind of player that's going to think to himself, I've been here multiple times. I've been when it's a derby. This is just another day. I think he'll have another good performance there, hopefully. Right. Declan Rice. Do we need to even say it? Just 10?
Yeah, it's 10.
Just, in terms of like British Champions League performances, is that like top 5? Yeah, in terms of like individual, like I'm thinking Gerrard, Lampard, Barcelona, trying to think who else, like Bale, but I guess Bale's more moments, McManaman moment.
I think Rooney would probably be a shout.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he had a big one against.
I mean, there's people who've had good games. Like I remember, like Welbeck's had some really like insane games. But it's I like respectfully to Welbeck. I don't really want to say his name.
That guy.
It's one of them moments. It's one of them moments where it's just such a. I don't know. Like it's one of the moments that I had so many like West Ham fans talk to me and be like, "Oh, he is actually this good." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like, Rice has got to be like, and it is a lot of agendas. It is a lot of like kind of stupid people having stupid opinions and not really knowing. It's the same with I felt in before the build up to this game. A lot of people are just talking about Real Madrid, but people don't know how Arsenal play. Like, if you just look at the Everton result, I saw people looking at that going, "Well, they drew to Everton," but it's like, well, one, we played like a sub team, and two, there's so many other aspects in the Premier League and football that doesn't judge your team. Like, I don't think Aston Villa are that great in the Prem, but they can still compete in the Champions League quarterfinals because it's like a completely different like ball game. And I think it's the same with Rice. Like people all the time go on about Rice, and I think when analysts look at him as well, people have come up about him and said, "Oh, his passing's not as good as it could be. He's quite naive and all this stuff." But like, I think people just have a perception of what they think a defensive midfielder or a midfielder should be, because he's not even a defensive midfielder for us, and he hasn't been for like over a year now. And he just brings so much. I mean, I was speaking to lots of people. I said, off the ball, I think he's one of the best players in the world. And that sort of thing people don't see because people just will not look at it in compilations. People won't watch Arsenal and won't see how effective he is at getting us the ball so often. But it's also his running, his carrying ability is like one of the best. The power he has, he can recover really quickly and just cover the pitch entirely. But he is also effective in the box. He's a great ball striker, which is something that we've been trying to enhance recently. And from dead balls as well, he's incredible. And like one of these games, it's like I think there was some problems like with people's perception of Rice, and I think obviously I don't think he's going to play in that 6th role. I don't think he was going to play in it anyway with Supervendi, but I do think this is one of them games that I do think the circumstances, like you said, did help him a lot in the 8th role. I do think in other games it may be a bit different, but like it's just one of them instances where he's like so good in a different position that he is one of the world's best, and he doesn't need to do a half-turn pass player. We've got Party. We're gonna buy Zubimendi. Like for Arsenal's sake, he doesn't need to do that, and like just get what you can out of him.
Yeah, he's so good. He just is. I don't know what else to say about him. He just is so good. He's a big game player as well. Like he's had big moments now where he's turned out. Like I instantly think of like the Man United one. I know Man United aren't the same Man United that they used to be, but even still, right towards the death of the game, coming up with the goods. Did you see him in the interview after? And he said, "This is my biggest moment of my career." These West Ham fans are not happy. But like, I don't know. For me, I understand it because he's not trying to say it as like a diss to West Ham, but in all due respect, that is a huge moment for West Ham winning the Conference League. But teams like City, Liverpool, Arsenal, I would expect them to go and win that. Like if we were in it, I would expect us to go to the final minimum, and I would expect us to win it. It's as simple as that. And that's not kind of being, my club's so much better than West Ham, but that's the expectation for him as like a standout performance to hit 2 free kicks like that against the current champions, and them being Real Madrid. There's not many bigger things you can do, bar being in the Champions League final and doing it, or like a World Cup, lifting the World Cup for your country. What else is bigger? I don't really know what is. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think sometimes people kind of look at it through, they look at it through the lens of their club and not the bigger picture. Like I understand it's like when Cesc left, and some people were really angry about Fabregas leaving Barcelona. It's like, well, that's his home club, and he's going on to like one of the biggest teams in football history. It's not you don't have to be a rocket scientist to work out why he's going. Like, yeah, like fair play. I get it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's right, and I do think. I mean, individually, this is a bigger moment, realistically. Like, obviously, as a team in West Ham, and he came out as much big, as cool and everything. But individually, people should have the perspective that he is the one that everyone's talking about, like right now. People weren't talking about him after West Ham won the thing. They talk about Bowen with the winner. It was Bowen's moment. As much as it is a team moment, it wasn't about Rice. This is about Rice, and individually, you're going to remember these moments probably more in a sense. So you always remember you won a trophy, and that's great, my boyhood club. But you're probably going to remember this. You're going to have like pictures on the wall of you scoring them free kicks, and it's going to be like that. And it's also that thing where, like, I think fans in England, especially, really struggle to understand other people's perspectives so much.
yeah,
Like, I remember when Jamie Carragher, like last year, was going on about Zubimendi not joining Liverpool, and he was like, "Well, where's the motivation? Why is it?" But it's like realistically, he's in his hometown club. He's playing for the team that he loves with his family, his friends there, where
yep.
he's grown up. What his idea of a dream life is not necessarily winning the league with Liverpool, being a Liverpool superstar. For you, it is because you're from there and you play for Liverpool. But
Mm-hmm.
some other people who aren't fans of Liverpool, it's the same. And I think, like, this is why when I speak to United fans, they go to me, who do you want for the summer? Who do you think you can get? And they tell me these players, and I'm just like, if Arsenal come in, if Chelsea come in, maybe Chelsea, if City come in, if Liverpool come in, why would they go to United? Oh yeah, but we're a big club. So yeah, cool, but you ruin talents. You're in an awful spot right now. Like, you've got to think about it from like a player's perspective who doesn't have the growing up of liking United like you do. Like, I just think people really suffer from that in this country.
Especially now, because you look at like on that United thing, they've had the Di Marias, they've had Zlatan, or whoever it may be. Who else did they get? I mean, Sanchez from us. But if you over the last 10 years have watched these huge names and then seen how they've been treated and seen the success that they've had or lack of success, you go, why on earth would I want to go there? Why would I I would expect like Bruno must be kind of going, oh, do I really want to stick around now for the end of my career? I mean, that's a whole different matter. I look at like Trent as well. The whole Trent thing is bonkers. I understand he is his boyhood club, but what more could he do there? He's won the Champions League. He's won the Premier League. He's, going to be in conversations for the best right back ever at their club. Go to Real Madrid. And like, there was the one, he even said, he was asked like, what would be the biggest thing for you? Would it be winning the Premier League with Liverpool? Would it be, doing this? And he said the Ballon d'Or. Because he said there's never been, a right back that's won it. And I thought, again, like, why can't people see that side of it? Like, he wants to change history. He wants to be written into those books of, oh, yeah, Trent, he was the guy. He was the first one, And I get it the other way, but sometimes just people just need to
perspective, isn't it? Like it's in America where like NBA teams just trade players and the players have no like they don't even get a say in it. They just get sent off. And there is some loyalty and people get a bit upset, but most fans are just like, oh yeah, it makes sense. Like, we get this new guy in now. But I get there's a lot of loyalty in football, and a lot of it is like people passionately about the community they're in and they've been there for a very long time. But sometimes like it is just what it is. It's with Saliba. If we didn't win the league next year, we were not even close. We dropped off. I wouldn't even blame Saliba for leaving. I think there's a certain level you've got to understand their perspective as well.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, Martin Odegaard. Oh, that look just said it all. I don't think he was bad, but
no, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. It's just he's better than he has been, and ultimately, he wasn't a hindrance. It didn't really matter, I don't think. He didn't really have much involvement as other games you've seen him in. And
how bad is it? It's our captain, and we're like...
No. But this is the thing. Like, I think mentally, it's still very vitally important. He's like in the squad. Because I saw like before the game, people were saying that like if Arteta was serious, he'd play White and Waneri because they could be attacking threats. I'm like, White's barely fit. He's so rusty right now. And Waneri's a child. Like, there's a certain level of like, okay, Odegaard might be playing poor, but he is still the captain and he's still very experienced. And he played for Real Madrid. He knows what they're like. So I was like, at the end of the day, like, I almost think that Odegaard's main contribution within this game and like our future games in this tournament are going to be like the mental side of it, the pressing side of it, that sort of aspects. And we didn't have to like press like a lot really in this game, but I thought he was still really good off the ball. And I still think that tactically he is actually being used but much better. He's giving Saka a lot of space. He's being a lot more of a facilitator, I would say, for other players. He's allowing Miles to have runs. He's not really like dictating and wanting the ball all the time. And then when we get into that final third, he's just becoming an extra man in the box, which is what we've wanted. Like he's not sitting on the edge all the time. He does sometimes, but he actually gets in there. So, it's one of the moments. I've seen a lot of like, I don't know, it's just one of the weird things because like I've been frustrated with Odegaard very much this season. I think he's not been good enough. But I don't want to keep beating him down. I've said like enough about it at this point. And in this game, bless him, he's still our captain at the end of the day. I'm still going to support him. I'm not going to, be too harsh at this point.
5.
Well, if we give him like a 6, that's like average. So we could get.
Yeah. I mean, possibly like a 7, but then I look and I go, what did he really bring to the table? I guess like he was picking up, and he always does, those spaces on the right hand side, and there was like clear channels for the Rice and Odegaard to kind of run down. There was an obvious game plan, but it's not like he had any killer passes. He didn't need to, like you say, he didn't need to lead the press like he usually does or anything like that. It was run of the mill. Yeah, I'd agree. Let's go to the left hand side then. Martinelli, for me, I think at times he troubled Valverde, which I was surprised about. Valverde's been really good at right back. I think a lot of people looked at it and went, because this is the problem. If you don't watch a team a lot of the time, you kind of just look at the headlines. So a lot of people go, okay, it's a midfielder playing at a position. One, Valverde physically is unbelievable. Two, he's a very intelligent player, and he's been in form in that position. I was actually hoping that they didn't play him there because is it is my his name has absolutely left my mind now. Is it? I've got Vasquez in my head. It's not. Is
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, it
Oh,
is.
yeah, that's good, yeah.
He got tormented the last time I saw him. So for me, I went, well, actually, Valverde might be a bit of a problem, but Martinelli did a good job on him. Worked incredibly hard. I think since the Chelsea game, he's been on form. He's been very, very good. He had some great crosses. He went down the line when he needed to and actually went one-on-one. He chose the right pass a lot of the time, which is not something I usually say about Martinelli. Usually he's looking down at his toes and, not noticing anyone else. I think he was really good. The one thing with Martinelli is that even if he plays badly, and I know it should be a minimum requirement to a certain extent, but when he doesn't have a great game, he's always going to put shift in. He's always going to put the defensive work in. He's always going to press and harry players, make it difficult for them. And yeah, I think he was like a 7 for me. I think he brought more to the table than Odegaard. But I don't think he did anything in particular that was like standout.
Yeah, I think in a sense, Barte was another player that was like used to facilitate other players. Like I feel like he was allowed to run at Valverde, but it definitely wasn't really like promoted. I think even like you said, with Rice pointing back to Miles, I do think that was, and I do think his releases were really quick and really good. And I felt our left hand side was like pretty good over the day overall. So I'd probably, I just don't think he didn't get the ball. Like, I mean, he probably did, but like in my head, I just can't remember that much of him having it, like, and doing much of it other than like quickly passing it into Miles. But then I guess them things are important as well. So yeah, I think seven's fair, but he didn't like have a bad game.
He had a couple of crosses in the first like half an hour, didn't he, from the left hand side? But again, didn't come to fruition. Right hand side, over to you, Saka.
Yeah, I think it's an 8 because, and I know he was incredible, but I don't know, maybe it's a bit of bias, but I know how good Saka can play if he's fully fit. And I know that he could play even better than that by like times 3. But maybe because of his fitness, maybe that's harsh, but he was great. He was incredible. Maybe a 9. Maybe a 9's fair because
we might have an argument here, mate.
He was probably one of our best players, other than Miles, Bryce, and Pye, I think, and Timber. They're all great. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I still think we even. Yeah, I don't know.
I know what you mean, because I guess M product. If you looked at like goals and assists, he's not going to be like he usually is, and we kind of come to expect that from him. But I just think he gave Alaba all sorts of problems. He won the free kicks. In the end, they were just... I mean, Bellingham, the first time, he dragged him down. And later in the game, he just kind of went... He gave up. He just went, there's no point now. It was just mad that he is half fitness. And he's putting in a performance that eclipses Vinicius Jr., eclipses Mbappe, eclipses Rodrigo. He was by far the best attacker on the pitch. And he was doing it, half speed. So I do agree with you. I know what you mean in terms of... But I think he just has to have a 9 in terms of his impact on the game as a whole. I think that was almost like a statement of, I might not be 100%, but I'm still better than everyone else. It was... for me, I'll go with like a 9.
I think he was also the best winger on the pitch, or best forward. And I do think it was a game where like I'm kind of judging it as like, well, the forwards didn't have a lot to do, but then I'm like, well, if he was the best one, then he's got to be a 9 because it's not really his fault that the game was like quite cagey at points.
Yeah. Okay. Mikel Merino. What a finish, by the way. That is such a difficult finish. And he tucked it away like, that's normal for me. This is a guy, right? He's a midfielder by trade. And he has settled into that role. Like, well, how many goals is that now? Was that like 7? Is that 7 goals, I think? Something like that.
Yeah, 6 or 7 and 10, I think.
And he's, yeah, he was outnumbering the midfield at times, make it, you know, almost like a 5 versus 2 or 5-3-3. Yeah, finished beautifully. I think he's the perfect squad player. He really is. But I must say, he's also showing why Arsenal are so good under Arteta. Because you look now, Kai Havertz is not a natural striker. Neither is he. But they've both had success in this current system. I do just wonder, was that his first performance with Bukayo Saka out wide? I was trying to think this. Because he played in midfield, didn't he? When we played on the weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
so I think it is.
Was there an overlap against Fulham for like 20 minutes?
I don't know, possibly. But I did think about that. I thought when Bukayo got the ball and then he managed to just go out wide and down the line and then put that ball in, which was just, as I said, begging to be put in. I did wonder and thought, a lot of people think, yeah, I'm not gonna make the run because it's not going to come in. But Bukayo Saka is just that good that you just make the run because he will put it in the box. He will put it in that danger zone. I thought he was great. I think he was really good. For me, he's not a 9. It's just 7 or 8. We're doing half marks, like a 7.5, I think. Oh no, you know what? He scored that goal.
I think that's a bit harsh. Yeah, I think Marino is so interesting in this game because I think a lot of people have said that, like, I don't think he was playing as a striker really for most of it, but I think it was by design. Obviously, I don't know, and like it's just assuming. But he was very deep, and he was basically in a central midfield spot. And I just don't think that Arteta. I think as well when he dragged Modric away and then Cavaminga sometimes when like Odegaard moved away. So I do think at times it did work tactically to help us build up. So I just think that was by design. The unfortunate moment is like with the Saka one where he put it across the box. I actually think it's more Rice to make that run. But I actually think in this game, Rice was supposed to be the guy that was in the box a lot further. Like it seemed like in my eyes that Marino wasn't supposed to make them deeper runs. And a few times I think I watched a video about it, and I think there's a few times where we did get the ball down that left-hand side, and then he made the same run as Rice, and they kind of got in each other's way, which is obviously a thing that a proper striker wouldn't have. You know, would understand where to run a bit more. But I do think with his goal that, like in the first half, there's a few times where he should have gone back a couple of feet and been there for that pass, and he didn't. And then in the second half, he learned from that and was there for that pass, and then did that great finish. So I do think that, like, I think even against Everton in midfield, he was really good. Like, I think he's actually been like this confidence that he's clearly had going into the team is a major boost, and he has been incredible the last couple of weeks. And a lot of people want to like kind of give it to Arteta, and I know it's like a massive debate. Like, is it actually on Arteta or is it more on Marino? But I just think like, yeah, Marino deserves so much credit, and he was so great in this game. I felt like.
He's been great. Subs. There's no point really. Ben White, I mean, what was he on? 3 minutes. So standard 5, I guess. Didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything great. Trossard, I put a tweet out because I was like, he just seemed full of confidence. It was almost like, you know, like you're coming on at a point where we are dominating midfield, we're goals up. He just seemed like, to me, he just came on, expressed himself. He was really, really good. I really liked his little cameo. I mean, I don't know what I'd give him a score, like a 7, I guess, for that amount of time. Is that kind of all right with you?
Yeah. I think so.
And then I've been looking here. I've been trying to look. I found it. So, no, I haven't found it. Kieran Tierney. I'm trying to look for the distance he covered in that match because he was just like a man possessed. He was so nice. I'm gonna miss him at the club. Like I am gonna miss him. He's another one of these players that like I've got a soft spot for. He's will always put in a performance, always, work his hardest for the team. He's just one of the good ones, isn't he? Let me have a little look. I'll try to find it while you have your say on Tierney.
Yeah, I mean, my dad as well is like loves Tierney, absolutely loves him. He's like his favorite player, and like I don't know, I feel bad because like we've always been going on about how we don't need traditional fullbacks, we don't play traditional fullbacks, so he doesn't work. And then now we're like, oh, we probably should sign a more traditional fullback just in case in the summer. And he's like, he's leaving.
Yeah.
And obviously the injuries, I think, have played a big part of it. I think if he wasn't as injured, I'd probably still be part of the squad. But yeah, he does try his most. His effort is always like appreciated. He always puts that effort in. It is crazy to me. Like when he came on, I literally sat there and thought, it is mental to think we're in 2025 and Kieran Tierney is coming on against Real Madrid. This guy was on loan at Sociedad last year, and I thought like he'd never play for the club again. It's crazy to think he's played like 300 minutes this season, but I'm like that even to see him come on is just mental. And I just see, yeah, he's been good. I mean, he can still put a good cross in. Like he's still a good
Yeah.
crosser. Still a
It,
good crosser.
do you how do you feel he's been like treated at the club? I cannot find that stat for the life of me. Because there's a bit of discourse on it in terms of some people say he hasn't been treated well by Arteta. Some people are kind of, it is what it is. Like, where do you stand on him personally?
Yeah, I do. I kind of think it is what it is a little bit because like he is just so injury prone, and this is like sort of my perspective with Party as well, where I said there's no point of re-signing him because as much as he has been fit this year and been pretty good in some games, there is still times he's a liability. But there's also been times he's been injured for years, and I think we built our system around Party, around Jesus, and they've just not been reliable. Like I personally think if a couple of our players had a better injury record, we actually probably would have won the league by now. In the last 2 years, I do think that, and I think Tierney, unfortunately, yeah, it's the injuries that have always been a problem. I don't know if it's his knee or his ankle, but it's something that he just continually just keeps having the same injury on. And he's never really been able to have that explosiveness that he had back in the day. I remember when he played against Norwich, he was really good. I watched that game, and he's just so good at running in behind and getting into good areas. I just don't think he just doesn't have that anymore. And we've given chances to him. We've always stayed with him. We haven't sort of like got it off in contract. We let him get experience last year at Sociedad, which are a good club where he could play a little bit. I think he played like 26 games for them in the end. So he got good time out there. He's come back, and I mean, we were going to try and sell him, but I mean, he's willing to stay, and it is what it is at the end of the day. And even now, I still think the fitness concerns are there a little bit. Like, I still don't think he's like fully like there. I don't know. When I watch him, I'm like, he still looks a little bit off it.
Yeah, it's the injuries. I couldn't be in a position again where we had, say, Miles Lewis Skelly. If we had Miles and Tierney, that's it. I wouldn't be comfortable with it because we have got far too many players that we've seen it this season. Calafiori's one. He's been riddled with injuries this year. Timber was out for a whole season, essentially. We've had Tommy Asu miss the whole season, bar, what is it, 3 minutes he played? Kieran Tierney is another one I just wouldn't be comfortable with. I looked, he's on £110,000 a week, and I think with Miles, as we found out, being on £4,000 a week, which is insane, you can kind of look and go, all right, we're going to give you a good contract. I'm looking at other contracts. So Kivior's on 58,000. Next up is Timber on 90,000. So you could comfortably say, we'll put you around, 60,000. Miles. We'll do the same with you, Ethan, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot, but for two guys that are, 17, 18 years old, I think that's fair. And that money that Tierney leaves essentially pays for that. I know some people are going to go, Alex, that is not good maths because that is more than 110,000. Yes, I am aware of that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a relatively similar amount. And I thought he might end up as a captain at the club, Tierney, but just hasn't worked out, and that's all right. It just doesn't always do it. We saw it with Jack Wilshere. We saw it with Diaby. We've had very good prospects that just, unfortunately, don't really kind of end up working out, and that's all right. We just need to plan this summer. Right. Before we finish up, the last thing. So we have got the Brentford game coming up, so we might as well do it. Token preview of it. The last time we played them, it was a 3-1 victory, which was lovely because it was at Brentford. Do we need to do you rest everyone? I mean, it's easier said than done, but do you essentially play the last team out that we had out?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting one because obviously Rice came off injured, so did Saka in a sense. I mean, they're not injured, I think they're fine, but they definitely had some sort of honestly, the physical battle against Real Madrid was a big one, so they clearly had some sort of problems from that. And I just don't I guess we played near enough the same team we did against Everton in a sense. I think we'll still be fine in this game. I don't think Brentford are amazing, to be honest. I think they're actually all right, but I think they kind of play a little bit how we would want them to, with them going long a lot. And I do think, I mean, you've got to rest some players. I think you're going to see Saliba and Kivior, because I don't really see us playing anyone else at this point. I don't really see we have an option. But people like Ben White should definitely come in if he's fit. I mean, I still don't know what's going on with Calafiori, but he's getting there soon, I think. So he probably won't be fit for this game. So I guess play Mars. Even play Tierney if you have to. I mean, I wouldn't be against Tierney starting.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be the worst. Maybe put Marino back into midfield. But the older the players that you want to have rest are the ones that are just maybe you're a bit worried about the tiredness. I would rather
Thomas
have Partey. Yeah, Partey needs to be rested. There's no way we should be risking him, especially when Jorginho, in my opinion, is fine. Jorginho can do a great job, and I don't really think it's going to make much difference. Odegaard probably should still play. I think, yeah, maybe that's fine. But yeah, Waneri, Trossard, we've actually got a situation now. We've got players back where it's not too bad. We're basically playing the same team that we had to before. So
let's run through. So Davirai and goal. I just don't see the point of playing Neto.
No, he's hopefully never plays again.
Start with Ben White.
Yeah.
Depending on fitness.
I think Brentford might play a bit of a low block as well for a bit, so that might help us.
Yeah, that is true. Do you play Saliba and Kivior? I don't really know what other options we have. Apart from playing a Ben White in there or a Timber in there.
No, I think that is the only options really for now. I think Calafiori's back next week. So
yeah, I play Tierney out left back.
He could play Zinchenko. I think he'll play Zinchenko.
Oh, that is true.
I actually forgot Zinchenko even existed.
Yeah, I did.
He'll probably play Zinchenko because then he can do basically Miles' role, but just not as good.
Yeah, that's true. I just think Miles, for me, just give him some rest. Give him some rest, and then as number 2, I'm just worried he was so important, which is mad, isn't it, to say someone of his age? He was so integral to that win against Real Madrid that I think we just need to make sure that he is available. Jorginho, DM?
Yeah, I think a Jorginho and Zinchenko double pivot is what we had 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Do we play both Declan Rice and Odegaard? Or do you drop Marino into midfield?
Yeah, I think he'll play. Well, he didn't play Odegaard against Everton, so it'd be interesting to see if he does. I think in this game I'd rather rest Rice, especially because we have Marino in midfield and then Odegaard was on the bench. I don't know if I'll just play Odegaard and Marino. I think. I mean, that was the original plan when Marino came in. I think so. I mean, it might be a little bit worse, but I don't really think it'd be that bad. I think that's fine.
I mean, I'm trying to think then up top. Do you do Ethan, Martinelli, and Trossard?
Yeah. I mean,
or Tierney, left wing.
If he really is like focused on the Real Madrid game, he'll go for Tierney. But I do think that maybe he won't. I don't know. I don't know what, because
Mm.
I never expected Arteta to really rotate the team because it's just never a thing he does. But against Everton, he was fully willing to give up a pretty hard Prem game to just go, yeah, well, we'll focus on Champions League, which I'm happy he did that. So maybe he will just play Tierney in left wing and then Trossard and Wineri, which is. I mean, I guess he could play Sterling. Oh yeah, because Sterling played against
Oh
Everton.
God, yeah.
But he was okay against Everton until you were
Yeah,
4-5.
to be fair, I don't really care. How bad is that? I've just got
Yeah,
apathy when it comes to the Premier League now. So, yeah, maybe.
especially with like all the teams behind. Like we drew, and then I'm pretty sure like the 4 teams behind us didn't win either. And I was just like, they're never gonna catch up. Like it's pointless. So I just think like they're all fighting each other. I think we're pretty fine.
Yeah, maybe just rest all three in the midfield then. So play Marino out on the left, Jorginho as the DM, Ethan as the attacking kind of,
Oh yeah.
and then you could play Trossard as the false 9, Sterling out on the right, and Tierney out on the left. So basically give everyone a rest.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna do that. I feel like
I don't think he will, but
he could play Zinchenko in midfield, put Mars still back in. You could do something crazy there.
yeah, that's true. I mean, the good news is that, like you say, we have got players coming back, so it's, we can rest some players now. It's about time. Like we could genuinely put in Neto. Not that I want to see it, but if
Put
he
Setford
wants
in.
to, yeah. To be fair, I would prefer that. But just for me, we might as well have sent Neto back because it's been a
Yeah,
dreadful signing that.
yeah, it was just a sort of panic buy because we couldn't get Garcia, I guess.
Mm.
But I mean, Edu's mad. Edu loves Neto. They're like best buds, so I guess that's what
Busy
happens.
mates. Nah, yeah. It'll be what it'll be, won't it? Prediction, I reckon just like a 1-0.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
gonna
bit
be
of a
like,
cop-out.
yeah, I say one. There's gonna be like a 0-0 or something. Nothing's gonna happen. It's the late kickoff on Saturday as well.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like, oh look, this great late kickoff. We got it on TV, and it's nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's just got it written all over it, hasn't it? I mean, and you look at Brentford's form there. So draw, a loss, a win, a loss, a draw. Love
Is
it.
it, I think isn't it like they've won their last like 6 away games in the league, or it's something like
Oh,
that.
have they?
They're insane because at the start of the season, I remember everyone going on about how good they were at home, but they had played no one good. And then in December, they were getting beaten by everyone. They lost to Newcastle at home, then they lost to us, and they lost to Liverpool. And I was like, yeah, as soon as they play good teams, they start losing. But I'm pretty sure. Oh no, they lost. Oh no, that's not. Oh, they did. Yeah, they what they did with they had won like 5 away games in the Prem, but they lost their last one. So that
Ah,
record's over.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's how form works. So they're going to be awful now. But they did just draw to a sub Chelsea team 0-0 at home. So I don't think they're in the best form either, really.
No, I think as long as you kind of stop, it's that front three essentially with Damsgaard, like Wissa and Mbeumo. I don't know if they're all available actually, but yeah, it'd just be a case of getting minutes in the legs and just trying to make sure we don't lose or just sneak a win essentially.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do for the rest of the season, right? Well, I mean, like, if we get to Real Madrid, then we can focus on it again, or like, but like if we do get into the semis, straight up, just the games. We play like I think Newcastle in the league still. We've got to play Liverpool at Anfield. Right, well, that's well, I've thrown them away.
Yeah, yeah. I just want Madrid again now. Play another
Yeah.
week. Before we finish up and we do the whole socials thing, quick question for you. For the rest of the Champions League now, if we make it to the final, what's the route you want to the final?
I do not want to play or even touch Unai Emery. If he even like steps foot in the Emirates, I'm going to lose it. I do not want to play Villa at any costs. And I've been seeing loads of people say that, like, well, if PSG and Arsenal go against each other, I'd say PSG are favourites. It's like, yeah, maybe, but I still think there's like PSG are getting so like not overrated because they are really good, but they were awful for like the last 4 years. even up until December, and then now because they're good, everyone's going on about how good the recruitment is and how they've built a team really well. But like, no one said that when they bought Douay they bought Douay ages ago. They bought Barcola, and at the time I was like, these are great signings, but
Yep.
they still need more to go in it. And like, we beat them at the Emirates. I know everyone's like, oh, the team's different, but they played the same midfield three they played against us. They did against Villa, and that was the front three that lost them the game because they just weren't physical enough. So
Yeah.
I think like, I genuinely think it's the same thing with the Atleti and Real Madrid argument, where it's like Real Madrid are probably a better team than Atleti, but Atleti are a better, like, they're better again. They're going to be better against us than Madrid, I think, are. And it's the same with this. I think PSG are a better team than Villa, but I think we can be better against PSG than Villa.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's ironic because for me, I want to play PSG because I worry about Unai, which is so silly. But you know, it's especially when you have that player that goes away and you play against them, they're bound to score against you. It's that type of thing. He just seems to always have a result against us. He does, and I think as well, you go and beat PSG, which for most Arsenal fans is like the one we want, and you can go, yeah, we beat Real Madrid, we beat PSG. There's that kind of glamour around the fixture itself as well. For me, in the final, because obviously you got Inter Milan, you've got Bayern Munich, you've got Barcelona, all possibles. I guess they're the three that most people will look at. For me, I want Bayern Munich in Munich, and I would love to, after the heart they've given us, and I know there's the storyline with Barcelona and losing the Champions League final before. I don't have much of a grudge with them, whereas I think, beating Munich in Munich and lifting a trophy in front of Harry Kane, that'd be delightful. Is that the final you want, or?
Well, personally, I'd want Dortmund, but I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not a bad shout. I didn't even think about that.
Well, they are 4-0 down, unfortunately. They were so bad in that game. I think I would want Barcelona. Like, I just want, like, Yamal v Saka. I kind of want Saka to turn up on him. I want to kind of prove that wrong, because I think Yamal's great, but people who think he's better than Saka in my eyes right now, it's just not. I just do not believe it. And I think I want to see I would just want to see a fun attacking team have to deal with us. Like, I want to be the ones that have to be the frustrating team. And Inter, I just think tactically, that's just going to be a pain of a game.
Yeah, I think a hard game.
And in my opinion, I think Inzaghi and Arteta are like the two up-and-coming managers that probably will dominate in the future. So that would be cool in that instance. I do think these two are going to win a lot of things. But yeah, I think I want Barca. I think out of any of them, Bayern would be cool. I don't really like Bayern. I don't think Kompany's a very good manager. And I think if we played them in a final, I think Arteta would school Kompany. I think Kompany. I've actually been very negative of Bayern, and everyone I speak to is like, yeah, but they're great. But every time I watch them in good games, he just gets tactically outplayed. I mean, even against Inter the other day, they played well, but like they lost and they gave up some big chances. So I just think it would be fun to play Bayern, because I think we have more of a chance to win him. But I think if we beat Barca in the final, like, I just think if we beat Barca, PSG, and then Real Madrid and PSV, brilliant too. I think that, like, that'd be crazy. It'd be a crazy turn of events. And even crazier turn of events is that the potential of, like, Kai Havertz might be coming back.
Oh my God.
Because everyone's talking about, because his fitness is apparently going really well. If that, I mean, that's how you write a story, I think. So that would be great.
Where, like, I mean, yeah, the Inter thing, I think over 2 legs, I'd be happier. 1 leg, I just don't know in a knockout with them. They're so similar to us. They're just so difficult. But yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, regardless, we're going to have tough games. Tough games. But the good news is, I think apart from Inter, the rest of them almost not play into our hands, but stylistically they are easier, which is like you said about Atleti. I was worried about them because they're so capable of doing low blocks and just making it difficult and kind of doing that. But it's yeah, it'll be
I mean,
awesome. I can't wait.
it's crazy as well. I mean, it'll be technically the first like semi-final Champions League I've ever seen Arsenal win. I mean, I
Oh my
kind of like
god.
the first season I started watching Arsenal was the season before we played United, but like I don't know, like I didn't really remember it like at all. Like I can't really remember anything about that. So it would be like I don't know, just to be even be like that far into it. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be insane to think that like we're even in that sort of a company with these people. And especially like I don't know, if we could get past from Madrid, in which we are in a great position to, like I don't know.
Mhm.
I think in many ways I see it's made it's a great step, I think. It makes us feel like at least there has been some progress this season, I think.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think Arteta. Some people are going to have to eat humble pie because now, in terms of big games, like Liverpool, it's got a good record now against them. City, we went and demolished them. We've beaten, the Uniteds, the Chelseas, time and time again now. To go to Real Madrid and beat them. We've beaten PSG once already. I mean, people kind of forget that. It was a great performance against them. For him, I think his stock is rising from this competition. It's been really good. Thank you, as always, mate. Always a pleasure having a chat with you. Obviously, the socials. Go follow Reese on Woklz TV, Woklz YT. You'll find him everywhere. There's, I mean, how many videos did you do over the last couple of days? 3 videos, is it?
Yeah, in the last 2 days, yeah.
Oh my god, mate. Meanwhile, I've done 0. Yes, I'm keeping up appearances. But do follow Fodder and Football. Go on to the X where you'll find all of my aggregation and weird memes on there. We will be back next week, same time on Friday. There will be a Real Madrid preview, though, with Alex Moneypenny from the Different Knock and the Cannon podcast, my namesake, which will be on Wednesday. It's Wednesday next week, isn't it, the game? So, yeah, there will be a fun, light-hearted preview with Alex. A little bit of analysis, but probably just some real stupidity, because that's what we do. Anyway, we will catch you in the next one. Thanks, Reese.
Yes.
Cheers, guys.